Hey, y'all. Welcome to another story time brought to you by ABC Read and ABC Learn, in which I am here to help you develop and nurture their love of reading in every child as well as every adult, with a particular focus on our Black children and Black families. I hope that everybody is doing great, feeling good and fabulous, because that's how I'm feeling, y'all. That's what's going on. That's what's up. I'm feeling that way because I'm getting ready to read to you all. Yes, I do get all giddy, excited, and just warm and fuzzy inside when I get ready to read to my reading family because I absolutely enjoy it. All right. And I just want to express to you all, since our goal is to help develop and nurture the love of reading, okay, what we want to do is help our children as well as adults develop what is called the intrinsic motivation to want to read, which all that means simply is that you just want that person to have the desire on their own without anyone saying, hey, if you read this, I'll give you that. All right, that's called the extrinsic motivation. That's when somebody is trying to offer you something or they're trying to get you to do something. Okay, and so, but what I will say to that though is if you have a child who hates reading, they've definitely expressed, I hate reading, I can't stand reading, which by the way, I've heard kids say that. They hate reading. You have to do different things like offer them something. You have to give them incentives to get them to want to read. Because if they hate reading, that means that they're not doing it. Okay. And so you have to try to get them to want to do it. All right. And so, with that being said, we are going to get started with this book. I've already started, rather. And it is called Stealing the Game. All right, Stealing the Game, written by Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Raymond Opsfeld. And by the way, for those of you who are not familiar with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, he is a retired NBA player. All right, so he used to play professional basketball, and he got a whole bunch of championships to show for it. Whole bunch of rings. All right, but one thing about Kareem Abdul-Jabbar that he definitely was trying to leave a mark when it comes to as far as with himself, he was about reading and about literacy. Okay, so he was encouraging our young folks to read. All right, he was a reader, very smart man. He is still a reader. Okay, very smart man. All right, and that's what he wanted our young folks to be about. Be about those books, be about that education and that knowledge. All right, and not just always feeling like they got to have a basketball or football in their hands, especially when it comes to our African American boys in particular. Okay, so this book right here, if this your first time on the channel, please go back and listen to the other chapters. I'm telling you, you're gonna have to, because this book right here is banging. You hear me? It's the business. All right. Now I'm on the chapter that says, riddle me this, riddle me this, riddle me this, riddle me that. All right, y'all ready? Let's go. Okay, students, here is today's brain-busting riddle. The class quieted as Mr. Labaugh sat on the edge of his desk and faced them. He liked to begin each English class with a riddle to, as he put it, kickstart our brains. What's the prize? Clancy Timmons asked from the back row, where such questions always seemed to come from. Prize? Mr. Labaugh said, pretending to be shocked by the question. Why do you need a prize? Isn't knowledge enough of a prize? Or the respect of your peers for having solved a tough puzzle? The entire class shouted, no! He laughed and said, message received. He picked up a DVD from his desk and held it up for all of us to see. The prize is this copy of the beloved classic John Hughes film, Pretty in Pink, starring the incomparably quirky Molly Ringwald. Molly Ringworm? Clancy said and snickered. Ha, Mr. Timmons, Mr. Labaugh said. I can always count on you to find the humor in everyone's name. We all fondly remember how you were able to turn substitute teacher Mr. Farley into Mr. Fartlips. One of my better ones, Clancy agreed. A rare talent indeed, Mr. Labaugh said. If it were any other teacher, I think that he was making fun of Clancy. But Mr. Labaugh didn't make fun of students, no matter what stupid thing they did or how much they deserved it. He treated everyone with cheerful respect, and the students liked him for that. What's the riddle? Brooke Hill said impatiently. She was the richest girl in school and the prettiest, but she was also the most competitive person I had ever known. And I've played every kind of sport since I was 5. As another student once said of her, she'd rather gnaw off your leg than let you beat her in a race. Let's hear it, Mr. Labaugh, Theo said. Theo, one of the few African American students in the school, was 6'4" after a 6-inch growth spurt last summer. That made him taller than his dad, Officer Rollins, who'd been to our house the night before to warn us about the garage burglaries. Right after his growth spurt, Coach Mandrake had talked Theo into joining the basketball team, even though he'd never played. He was skinny and awkward and clumsy. After a rough start, he was finally starting to fit in with the rest of the team. Not that he needed to. He was also one of the smartest kids in the school. Once on the brain-trained team of eggheads that challenged other schools to see who was the brainiest. He was the person I really needed to talk to today. Mr. Labaugh cleared his throat dramatically. Okay, here we go. What gets wetter and wetter the more it dries? While I was still repeating the riddle in my head, 2 people called out, "A towel!" Theo and Brooke said at the same time. You've heard it before? Mr. Labaugh asked. No, they both said, again at the same time. Brooke glared at Theo with a leg-gnawing expression. Someone in the back fake coughed. Nerds. Let's try a harder one, Mr. Labaugh said. The man who invented it doesn't want it. The man who bought it doesn't need it. The man who needs it doesn't know it. What is it? Silence. Brooke closed her eyes and scrunched up her nose. I know she was a handful, but I couldn't help thinking how cute she looked like that. She reminded me of Lucy in the Peanuts comics. Give us a hint, Dave Jasper said. No hints, Mr. Labaugh said. Just keep your eyes on the prize. This special edition DVD from my home collection played on the very night I asked Mrs. Labaugh to marry me. So we know it has magical powers. The prize was always a DVD from his home collection because he was downloading all his movies onto a hard drive and getting rid of his DVDs, which numbered in the thousands. What did she say? Clancy asked. He called her Mrs. Labaugh, doofus, Brooke said. That should be a clue. Clancy whispered something to Jeremy in the desk next to him. They both chuckled. Give up? Mr. Labaugh asked the class. Yes, most of the class chorused. No! Brooke snapped. Can you repeat it? Dave Jasper said. Everyone groaned. Brooke glared at Dave and repeated the riddle word for word. The man who invented it doesn't want it. The man who bought it doesn't need it. The man who needs it doesn't know it. What is it? I had no clue what the answer was. I never did with these riddles. but I still liked them and admired people who could figure them out, which was almost always Theo or Brooke. Buzz, Mr. Lawboss said. Time's up. Wait, Brooke protested. It's a coffin, Mr. Lawboss said. The man who invented it doesn't want it because that would mean he'd be dead. The man who bought it doesn't need it because he's not dead yet. The man who needs it doesn't know it because he's already dead. Brooke snorted. You have to give us enough time, Clancy said from the back. That's pretty dark, Mr. L. Are you sure you're allowed to talk to us about death and such? Mr. Lawboss smiled as he walked over to the whiteboard. He wore baggy pants and a maroon sweatshirt with some sort of stain near the collar. Egg, I thought. He wore baggy pants and sweatshirts every day. And every day there was some sort of food stain somewhere. We talk about everything in this class, he said, especially while we're reading The Catcher in the Rye. He then wrote on the board, who is good? Who is bad? Why? During class discussions, I didn't raise my hand unless a lot of other kids did to decrease the chances of my being called on. That strategy usually worked. It's not that I didn't know the answers. I did in this case, and I was actually excited to hear the discussion because I love the book. But whenever I did get called on, what I said never seemed to be what I meant to say. It was like one of those voice changers you can use to make yourself sound like a robot or Darth Vader. Only this changed my actual words. So I sounded like lame old McLameson. My motto was something that, according to Mr. Labaugh, Mark Twain had said, it's better to remain silent and be thought a fool than to speak out and remove all doubt. When the class was over and we were all funneling out the door, I grabbed Theo by the elbow, pulled him to the lockers and said quietly, I need your help. He looked startled like I said, I just ate your dog. Probably because I'd never asked anyone for help before. You mind? Brooke said, shoving past us. If you boys want to discuss the best place to inject steroids, please do it elsewhere. Some of us have to get to class. Theo frowned at her, but I grinned. I might have been the only student in the school who thought she was funny. But then my brother was the only person in the world who thought I was funny. So we had something in common. What's up, Chris? Theo asked as we walked through the crowded hallway. I need a detective, I said, and you're the closest thing to it that I know. A smile stretched across his face. I'm in. Hey, are you in? Are you into this book still in the game? I hope so, like I am. This book right here ain't no joke, y'all. I'm feeling it. It's like every chapter that I read, it gets more and more exciting. I get more and more enthused, and I want to know what's going to happen next. And so that's what I hope is going to happen for you all right? And I hope that you all remember to please keep reading for at least 30 minutes a day, and please excuse my kids in the back. They are, walking back and forth. I told them to chill while I read, but hey, that's what kids do sometimes. All right, y'all. Remember to please press the like, the share button, and subscribe. And to remember again to please keep reading for at least 30 minutes a day. All right, come on back, y'all, so we can find out what's going on, y'all. What is this detective work that Theo has to do? What is he trying to find out? All right, y'all. Peace.